Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back for another episode of our Stitch Along, and a few of you mentioned in the comments, thank you, that you would like to see me stitch my little title page piece for the letter A, which will be going in my fabric dictionary of stitches. And as you would have seen in the previous episode, I've drawn out where I'm going to do the different stitches. So I've got two Algerian eye stitches down here. I've got the arrowhead up this part of the A. I've then got the Antwerp edge up here. I've got the antique stitch across the middle, and then a nice long stretch of my favourite Ainu running stitch. And then my Armenian edge, I'm not going to have to stitch that because I've got a spare piece of fabric here. And as one of my commenters suggested, rather than putting it as a tab on the side, I'm going to put it down the bottom down here where you can actually see the edge if I move it up a smidge. So let's get started on this. I haven't put it in my hoop, I'm just going to stitch freehand. So I guess let's start off with our Algerian eyes. I'm also thinking I'm going to incorporate some of these beautiful loose mixed beads that I got from Silk and Stitch, the bridal wear store. Quite a few of these actually just fell off the pieces as they were like the very sort of edgy pieces, but I also got a couple of small bags of the beads as well. And so I was thinking even some of these beautiful little diamante ones, if you can see those, I was thinking I might put those in the middle of my Algerian eye. So let's get started and do the Algerian eye. I think I might use the red for that. Do I think red? Yeah, I think the red would work down nicely on the white there. So I hope you're all having a great day, great evening. We've been having such fun in the chat on our the premieres where we can live chat together, just through text rather than actual voice chat. But it's so lovely to chat away. I know for some of you it's a bit challenging trying to watch the stitches and be chatting and multi things at once. So totally understand if it doesn't work for you, and also if you can't join. But we had a lovely little bunch in there last night, and we've had lovely people joining all week, in fact. So with the Algerian eye, we start at, I guess, doing the stitch for the 12 o'clock position first. I'm just going to have to actually remind myself. I don't know. You start at the top and then go into the centre. I'm pretty sure that's the way we go. Just excuse me for a moment while I remind myself the direction. Yes, starting at the top and coming down. Isn't that bad? Just a few days later and I've forgotten the direction that the stitches go in. I know we go anti-clockwise around. And you don't want to go all the way into the centre. You're just wanting to go so that you create that sort of what would be the open bit in the middle for the eye, but we might put that diamante in. We'll see how that looks. Challenge for myself today, stay fully on camera. Let's see how we go. You can give me points. Just had the most delicious lunch of Jerusalem artichoke soup. So Jerusalem artichokes are very different to the other sort of regular artichoke in that it grows in the ground more like, I guess, a potato, a root vegetable. And they grow quite prolifically. I remember a few years ago, Mum gave me some to put in the garden. And this year there is such a bountiful amount, and I've not done anything with them. I've just let them actually grow over past years and haven't actually harvested them. And they just multiply like crazy. So I just had that with some leek, some parsley added in towards the end, a bit of paprika, a little bit of stock sort of flavouring in with it, and then all cooked up with some water and boiled until it gets soft, and then pureed in the food processor or blender. So that's the little eye stitch. And so I'm going to have a go at putting one of these little diamantes in. I'm not even quite sure how you stitch through the back of them, but given they're used in bridal wear, let's see if this needle's not going to fit, so we'll just have to pop a thinner needle on the thread. Should have thought about that before I started, but never mind. Warts and all my stitching. Okay, so so it's got these tiny little holes at the back. Now, so I guess if I pop myself back in at the other side, we'll see if we can get it to sit nicely. I think that's kind of fun. And I want this project to stay fun. I don't want this to be a chore for anyone. So if there's ever a stitch or something, or you're just not feeling the love for it, just no pressure. This is about having fun and enjoying yourself. So if you're not feeling it, don't sort of push yourself. That's cute. Just going to have that little crumb. So usually when I'm doing beading, and I'm going to apply the same thinking to this, I will go through twice just to help hold it in case something happens to the thread. Sometimes it can get a bit tight when you're trying to go through twice, so we'll see how this goes. Can I get my needle through it a second time? I think I can. Just watching some videos from my buddy Annie Claxton, or otherwise known as Arty Farty Annie. And she's had a whole bunch of great videos up. She had some opening surprise packages of fabric and trims and things in the mail, but she also had one where she shared all this incredible basket weaving that she has done using a variety of reclaimed, recycled materials. But I don't dare get into paper crafts or crafts that don't use fabric, because my craft room is already at capacity with just my fabric and sewing supplies. I do have a few journal making supplies, but most of my supplies are on the fabric side, and it is full to bursting, so I don't think I can take on another hobby. But I do enjoy watching people's creativity. But I'll stick to the fabric and sewing, I think. So that's that one done. Let's do the other side. Hopefully I've got enough thread for that. Okay, so starting at the top, the 12 o'clock position. Good thing about putting something in the middle is you don't have to worry quite as much about getting your stitches exact to create that exact sort of circle eye piece in the middle. So I am thinking I will put some sort of reinforcing or batting or fleece interfacing in between the pages, sort of either on the middle between where the concertina folds of the pages of my dictionary of stitching are, just to give it a little bit more robustness. So I'll have to work out what's best to source for that. So I won't be stitching this in yet until I've sort of just got that and just done a sample cut to see how the pages sort of fold over and position themselves. So I'll share that once I've got that step worked out. So I know someone in the comments was going to be planning to do that as well, I think with batting between their pages. So I thought, that's a good idea. Love all the good ideas. That's why it's so nice to have a community around you, even if we're not sitting together. Wouldn't it be nice if we were sitting together with a cup of tea and some nice stitching to do? Or for those of you in the morning when you're watching this, a nice hot cup of coffee if that's what you're into. I know I need my coffee at the start of the day. One coffee, that's all I allow myself, but definitely feels good after I have it. I always take Travis for a walk though before I even have my first coffee for the day. So I have that nice sort of just, I guess, easing into the day feeling. Enjoying the sun coming up. And at the moment, quite fresh air. Still incredibly blowy outside. Very windy. So it's a nice day to be inside because it's not that nice to walk around when it's really windy, and there's also lots of big trees here, and I'm always just a little bit worried about tree limbs coming down. So that one's done. Okay, so let's trim that off. We'll tie that little bit of thread to our orts jar. Put the needle over there. So for our arrow stitch, I think, maybe I'll use this blue. Hopefully I think it will show out enough. And then I'm thinking I might put some of these little white ones on every second one. So let's give that a go. Have I actually got some of that blue threaded? I think I do. And I think this needle size will be okay with those bigger beads. Okay, so let's see if I can remember the motion that we follow for doing the arrow. So we pop out at one side. And then that's right, we then go to the middle, angle our needle and pop out at the end. And then maybe I'll do all my arrows first, and then we'll go on and do the bead, come back down and do the beading. So I'm then going to pop out at go from the middle and pop out at the start of the next arrow. And then I'm going to go to the middle and pop out at the other end of the arrow. Yay, I remembered that one, so I haven't totally lost my memory. I want to keep a very healthy memory, so I figure crafting and stitching, it's a good thing, and this project's going to be great because I'm going to have to try and remember the stitches between when we learn them and then when I put together these pieces. And I think the more you do something, the more likelihood there is that it's going to stick in your mind. So with each of them, we're going back to the middle and then we're going out to sort of get to the next place that the stitch will be. You could obviously go up and down, but this is just, I guess, a quicker way of forming your stitches. Just make that there. So yeah, it's so great just hearing everyone's ideas for how they're going to be putting theirs together. Lots of great comments, so make sure you check out the comments. So that's all of my arrow stitches done. So now let's have a think about where we put the beads. And I don't mind that my arrows are getting slightly bigger, I think, as it goes up. Hopefully I didn't just go off camera there. I might have, so apologies. We'll take a point off. So I could do a bead there, or I could do 1, 2. I think I'll do 3 beads. 3 things always seem to work quite well together. So I'm going to pop my needle back up. I'm going to pick up, which one do I want? Let's see how these bigger ones look. I think they could be nice. Especially with the little blue lines formed by the thread. So I'll put a couple of little loops on them, I think, to hold them in place. I might even put 3 little loops. See how I go. Or do I need 4 now? Could keep putting loops on this and just keep going. Oops, maybe I need to go Okay, so there it is with its four little loops on it. So then I'll jump down to the next spot. Oops. Try and pop up in the right spot. Get another beady. They're quite irregular shaped, so get one that I think will look good. That actually looks quite good just with the two markings on it. Maybe I should, it's okay. I've done 4. I'm going to commit to 4. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Okay, and then we'll come down to here. Which one do I want? That one looks okay. Slightly bulbous. Oh no, it's a bit bulbous at one side. That one's a bit taller. Choices. This one looks a bit like a donut, but that's... Oh, actually, that's... I'm being very indecisive, I know. Just going, not sure. Oh, little tiny sequin. That's a minute sequin. Going to have lots of fun with that collection of various beads. So nice to get such a mixture. Okay. Now it's raining down outside here. I was actually chuckling with watching Annie's video. She was saying how hot it was in the UK at sort of 26 and going to be 28 degrees. And I was saying we always chuckle in Australia at people sort of, in the UK talking about that being a really hot day because it can get a lot hotter here. But then again, probably those of you in climates where it really gets cold just sort of laugh at me talking about winters here where we don't get snow down in where we are. Doesn't get as cold as some of you live with for a very long period of the winter. So there we go, that's our start of it. So let's then move on to our, what's it called? Antwerp edging stitch. What colour do we want to do that in? I guess I might go up. I've actually got one threaded, so let's use that again. It's a darker blue. So we've tied a knot and I'm going to start the Antwerp edging here. The first stitch will just be a bit longer. We then pop up to the top. We start to pull our loop through and then we pop out of the bottom. And do our stitch like that, and then we pass our needle out through the loop formed by the thread. We hold on to it and we pull it up to form a knot. So do the next one. Popping up to form the right angle. Can't quite see where my marking was there, I think it is. Popping up to form the right angle and then popping down and through to form the knot. Then again, forming our right angle. And, oops, put my loop where it is, needs to be, passing it out through the loop. And then the next one, again, right angle. And then taking it under and out through the loop. Getting a nice knot. I don't know if that knot was quite tight enough. Haven't tried loosening one of these knots after it's done. I'm assuming it's doable like on that other stitch. The stitch that will remain nameless. Don't know if I am actually going to be able to. Oh, I think that'll be okay once it's sort of tugging up. It will probably tighten up. Let's see. I can always do a sort of whipping stitch over the bottom of it if it looks a little bit loose. That's okay actually, I think. Then we're going to take that down. Just make sure this time I tie it, hold it a bit tighter so that it does form a tighter knot. I guess that's the thing of doing it freehand. It just means you might not get it quite as taut. Taking it out, holding on to it. Actually, I might just get my needle and just help to just push it down and get it as tight as we can. Oops, not doing I don't know what I was doing there. I think I started to do like a French knot. Where did that come from? That is not a feature of this stitch. Starting to go rogue. Can't have that. Okay, so there we go. Pretty happy with that. All right, now, will I do, I think I will do, I'll do the long stitch of the Ainu running stitch down here in this, and then I can come back and do the other stitch in another colour. So this is just the running stitch component of the Ainu running stitch. And then we'll be coming back and couching over and joining them up. And we'll be adding a bead because I do love the beaded version of the Ainu running stitch. I think I'm going to need a nice hot cup of tea after this. It's starting to feel a bit chilly. Again, laugh away those of you that live through snowy winters. Still, a cup of tea is a nice thing to have. Stitching away. Just don't spill it on your stitchery. Okay, that's that done. Let's not get distracted, Christine. Where am I going to tie this one off? I might just catch it down here. Thread can go in the ought jar. Now, what am I going to use for the, will this have enough contrast? I don't think it will. Or will I use that blue or this sort of more, is that the colour that I used there? No, it's a different one. I think I might use this. This looks nice. There's the end. Loving all my vintage crochet threads and crochet yarns. Oh, now because I'm going to be doing the beading, I'm going to need to thread, one that will take whatever beads I'm going to put in the middle through. Now I was thinking of these little white ones, but they might not show up, so I'm actually wondering maybe these bigger ones. But then you probably won't see much of the blue thread, but the blue might shine through it. Let's give it a go. Let's not dilly-dally, Christine. These folks have important things to be doing with their time, like more stitching. If only there wasn't housework to do and chores and life administration. I'm so bad at life administration, actually. I'm just very effective at it when it's when I'm doing things in my working life, but life administration, no, not good at that. Probably because I'd rather be stitching. Okay, so Ainu running, we're going to pop up halfway along the first of the running stitches that's already there. We're then going to take our needle up above that point and pop ourselves out at the end of the running stitch in one single go. So that creates the first of the couching stitches if we don't get knots in our thread. So the little couching stitch is over there. We're then going to pick up our bead. If you're doing the beaded variety, if you're not doing the beaded variety, you don't have to pick up a bead, you can just continue on your way. Then we're going to go slightly to the top of the next stitch and then angle ourselves to the halfway point along the stitch and pop our needle out there. Going to pull it through. We'll then get our little beaded section in between. We're then going to couch over, so go above and then angle our needle out at the end of that running stitch. So we get another couching, although we don't want to catch the bead like I just did there. So we're going to unlasso the bead. Oops, doesn't want to be unlassoed, wants to stay caught. I guess that could be a whole nother stitch, couldn't it, where you put a loop around the bead, but we won't do that. Won't go rogue. Okay, so now we're out at that end. We're going to pick up our bead again. Yep. Then we're going to go slightly to the top, angle it down to the halfway point and form the next beading place. We're going to pop out halfway along at the top and then angle it slightly to the top of the next running stitch. Except I just did, well no, I did something wrong there. Hang on. Rewind. We should have a stitch in place. What went wrong? What went wrong, Christine? Okay, so we did our couching stitch. We didn't pop out at the end of that properly. We missed a step. Okay, we're back with the program. So we should have arrived at the end of this one. And then picked up a bead and gone to the end of that one and then angled through to the middle of that one. Like that. And then up to the top and then angled through to the end of that one. Picked up our next bead. Back with the program. Up our next bead, back slightly to the top, angle the needle halfway down and along. That bead get twisted? No, that bead's not twisted. Then we're going to do that couching stitch and at the same time angle the needle so it comes out at the end of the running stitch. And then pick up another bead. Oops, no, that bead's a bit irregularly sized, so we'll get a more irregular one. Come in at the top of that next running stitch and pop out halfway along. Anchor our bead down. Do our couching stitch and then pop out at the end of that running stitch. And And then pick up another bead. Where's one that's nice and regularly sized? Regularly, not irregularly. And then pop out halfway along. Anchor the bead down, make sure the bead's not twisting around. Come on, bead. Play nice, bead. Okay, and then we're going to go along and do our couching stitch. And then we're going to pop out at the end. Grab our bead. To the end, angle down. And then do our final couching stitch. I'm just going to get my thread nice and tight so that the beads sit nice and tight. And yeah, we're going to do our final couching stitch over the middle there. And then that's our Ainu running stitch done. Let's just tie that off, and then we've got our antique stitch across the middle, and then we'll be sewing our little piece with the existing Armenian edging on it. Just do a second stitch here. Okay. There we go, that's how it's looking so far. I think I want to use, I quite like this blue. It's nice and thick, so I feel like the antique edging will go faster with that. I think it needed quite a bit last time, so I'll cut off a decent amount. So this is where we use long stitches and then a shorter little stitch in the middle to kind of tack it down, couch it down really. Oops. Didn't manage to tie a proper knot with my normal method there, so I'll just do it at the end myself. Now I'm going to move the beads out of the way so I don't scatter them across when I swing my hands around. Okay, let's start at this end. So for the first few stitches I won't really be able to couch them down because they're going to be quite small stitches anyway and don't really need that couching. Now I'm sure I've made it harder for myself by doing this stitch last when it's probably going to catch on the various beads, but that's okay. We will make do. It's always best to do your beading last on a piece because if you're doing other thread work it does make it harder than it needs to be. But so far so good. Touch wood. Okay, I think I'll start my couching stitches soon because I've just got those first stitches down. Hopefully I was on camera. So we're doing our longer stitches across. So with this one, long stitch across, and then I'm just going to do and this time I'm just going to do a small one like the vein of the leaf. So I'm just going to go over and I just need to make sure I'm not skewering my thread. I just need to do a couching stitch over the center. Then popping out at the top, coming down to the bottom. Oops, catching. And then another couching stitch over the center on the diagonal. Wonder why it is called antique stitch. I don't think I looked that up. Okay, doing that couching stitch on the diagonal again, but not as wide as we did on the sampler, so it will be interesting to see the effect on this one. So this will be a bit of a longer video because we're doing all our all our stitches except my arch nemesis stitch in one go. So that little couching stitch again. And before I'm pulling it through, I'm actually just putting the stitch in because it's a bit easier before it's laying all the way down to actually get that stitch around it. So now I can sort of pull it fully tight. The fabric I'm stitching on really reminds me of the French flag. It's got such a Frenchy feel to it, which I like. Okay, putting my middle couching stitch in. I hope my camera's staying in focus. I know some of my other YouTube video friends have been having quite a lot of trouble, and I don't know if it's an upgrade that they've done with the iPhone, but I think I'm possibly one upgrade behind, so I'm a little bit reluctant to actually upgrade because, yeah, it's been a bit of a problem for some of them. So next up in our letters will be the letter B. And there's quite a lot of B stitches, I think, including the variations that we'll do within some of the stitches. But first up's the quite easy backstitch. But as I discovered, there are different versions of it. And they each have their pros and their cons. Oops, I think I might have just skewered my main thread. Just got to be careful. Okay, there we go. I might end up fast forwarding through this bit because you might get bored by the end of watching me stitching the same stitch over and over again. Because it really is just the long stitch and then the couching down in the center. I've also got to start looking out the goodies for the winner of my 1,000 subscriber competition. So they've been in touch with what they would particularly like to receive, because I definitely want to make a bespoke package with things that are really sort of wanted and of interest to the person. So they've given me some really great ideas of what I can share, and just so excited to be doing that. And looking forward to doing more bespoke packages of goodies for my stitchy buddies, which includes all of you. So keep an eye out. Got a few other packages to put together for some local stitching friends as well. So just got to intersperse that amongst the actual stitching. If only I didn't have to work. If only I could craft and share crafty things all day. I don't think I'd ever want to turn my craft into my work, because I think the joy is that it is something that, yeah, you're doing for just total pleasure, total discovery, total creativity. And I think when it becomes your work, you've got to have all the business and the business administration side that comes along with that. So, yeah. I enjoy this just as a pleasurable pursuit. Okay, so have finished doing the antique stitch leaf. Let's have a look at that now. I'll tie it off when we're done. So there's the antique stitch. And so that one I was doing the longer stitches, but then just very small little slanted stitches along the middle. So that is our A. We're going to, as I mentioned, I'll just get the thread away out of the way. We're going to have our piece of Armenian edge down the bottom. So that will sit there. Perfect size, which is great. It's like it was made to be there with the little Armenian edge. And so that's all of our stitches. And I will have fast forwarded through the middle bit where it was getting a bit boring on the antique stitch. But yeah, very happy with that leaf effect, and really happy with the A with a few of extra dimensions built into it with the beading. I'll probably do this off camera and you'll get to see a picture at the end. I might just put some little white beads on the very tip. So here's my finished piece. So I ended up using some more little like Daibonti type sequin sized, but they sort of rise up in the center beads, and I just did the 4 stitches holding those in place. I then added another diamante like the ones down here to the top. And then I added my Armenian edge piece down here and just did a running stitch in this same blue to just sort of tie that in. So that is my piece done. Really happy with that. I'll just give it a quick blow with the hairdryer just to get rid of the couple of lines that we can see there. So thanks so much for watching, and take care and see you soon.